Hello everyone, I am Sriti and welcome to my channel. I am back with a new tutorial. In this tutorial, we are gonna make an application for fetching data from an API using bLoC pattern. First, let's take a look at our application. Our final application will be look like this one. There will be a list of items. And before starting, I will suggest you to watch the full video to have a better idea and you can apply in your own application. If you have any questions about this topic, please comment below. Now let's get started. First of all, we need to add package in our pubspec.yaml file. Here we are going to use three packages. First one is HTTP to call API. Third one is Flutter bLoC, which is to implement the bLoC pattern. And third one is equatable, which is to make objects comparable. Let's see our project structure. Here we created three folders. One is bLoC, we will talk about it later. Second is data folder, which is responsible for apps model and connects to the backend. And third is UI, which is represent our app. In this UI folder, I am created a file called homepage, and inside created a stateless widget called homepage, and bLoC folder is empty for now and data folder is empty for now. Let's see how we are going to easily handle our response and convert them into list. This is our API link and this is our structure. This is our JSON response. We have to convert this response into our data list. To do that, first we need to create our model class that contains the data from the network request. Here we are going to use this site quicktype.io. It is very helpful to create model class. Let's use it to create our model class. First we need to copy our whole response. I'm just copying this response, paste it here. It automatically generate our model class. Here we can give our model class name. Here I am giving food. Okay, now our model class ready. We have to put it on our application, right? Let's copy it and move on our project. Inside of data folder, we need to create a folder called model, and inside model folder we have to create new file called food.dart file. Here we will paste our model class that we created earlier. Okay, now our model class ready. Now we are going to work on response part. Let's create a folder called repositories. Inside of repositories folder, create a new file called food repository.dart file. Here first we will create an abstract class called food repository. But why we are going to use abstract class, right? Because an abstract class which is defines a class that cannot be instantiated. Generally abstract classes are used to implement the abstract methods to the extended subclasses, which is the base class. And let's implement the food repositories abstract class from the food repository implementation class. Here we have to define our specific list that we are going to fetch from server as a future response. Let's do it. Now we have to override a method. Let's some talk about feature. Feature is a Dart class for working with async operations. A feature object represents a potential value or error that will be available at same time in the future. As we work with feature response, we have to add async keyword here. Okay, first import HTTP package for calling network request. Now we are going to call get request using http.getRequest. At this point we will get data from server. Inside of it we will be add our API link. Also put it inside of a response variable. As we use feature response, we need to add await keyword here. Now time for testing response. Our response is okay or not. To do that we are going to use if else condition. If response dot status code equal to 200, then it will return response of the body. That's mean if the server does return OK response, then we will get response body. If the server doesn't return OK response, then it will throw an exception. Let's put exception in our else condition. Now let's move on response.bodyPart. First put it inside of data variable. Now we will convert the JSON response into our specific model. If we see our model class, here we already created from JSON factory method, which helps us to convert JSON into model list. So let's add this method in our response.body function. Here we have to define our specific list that we are going to fetch from server. Let's add our recipe list and give it a variable same as model class. Now our JSON converted. Now we can return our recipe list. So that's all about getting the data from server. Now we will implement our bLoC pattern. Before implementing the bLoC pattern, we need to know about bLoC pattern, right? So let's have a brief overview of bLoC pattern. Flutter bLoC is a predictable state management library that helps to implement the business logic component design pattern. bLoC helps to encapsulate the business logic from UI, and there are important things are event and state. Events are fed in as the input to the logic component, and states are generated as the output. It relies heavily on streams, and it's often used in conjunction with the provider for exposing the block to the UI. Okay, now let's move on block folder. Here we have to create three files. One is for event, second is for state, and third one is for our main block. First, implement our event. Here in this app, we need only one event for fetching data from online. First, create an abstract class called food event and extends the equatable package. Now, create our event class called fetch food event, extends the abstract class which is food event. Now we need to override a method which comes from equatable package. As we want to fetch list of items, that's why here will be an empty list, and that's all about our event. Now we can move on state. Here in this application we need four states. One is initial state. We will use it when there is no data present. Second is loading state while fetching data. Third is loaded state for successfully fetched data. And fourth is error state, which is notify about errors that occur during API call. First, create an abstract class called food state and extends the equatable package. Now let's create our four states that all are extends the food state abstract class. And override all methods. In initial state and loading state, we nothing have to do, but in loaded state we have to add our model list that we want to fetch. So let's add our model list, specific model list, which is recipe. Let's constructor our recipes object which we created with named parameter, and in our error state we have to add our error message, right? To add message we have to use string and constructor this object with named parameter, and that's all about our states. Now we can move on our main block file. Let's design our food block. But what will do block here? That's the point. In simple terms, block will do two things. First, connect the data to the UI, and second, update the UI when the state changes. And we can think like bridge between our UI and data. First, import block package. Let's import it and create a class called food block, extends the block package. Here we need to pass two parameters, which are food event and food state. Now we have to override map event to state method, which is corresponds to listening the event and emitting the states. First we will initial our initial state, then create a new object using constructor method, which is automatically called when the object is created. Also we have to specify our default super constructor. In map event to state method, we map events that comes from stream into an appropriate state. To get appropriate state, we need to use if condition. Let's add if condition. If event is fetch food event, then it yield food loading state. What is yield here? Yield is a keyword that adds value to the output stream of the surrounding async function. It's like return but doesn't terminate the function. Also, to catch the error state, let's add try catch block. Inside try block, we will first add a list of recipe for fetching data using get foods function that we created inside of repository class. As it feature response, we have to add await keyword here. It yield food loaded state and it required recipes parameter. Let's add it. And other state is food error state. If occurs any exception, then it yields food error state. And here also required message parameter. Let's add it. That's all about our bLoC. Let's move on main.dart file. Here we have to define bLoC provider. But what is bLoC provider here? bLoC provider is a Flutter widget which provides a bLoC to its child via bLoC provider dot of context, and child widget gets updated whenever there is any changes in the bLoC. So let's add bLoC provider. First wrap the homepage widget and rename it bLoC provider. It required create parameter, so let's add it. Here we have to pass our bLoC. This bLoC also required repository parameter. Let's add it. Now let's move on child widget, which is homepage. First I will make it a stateful widget. First here we will initial our food bLoC with constructor and add init state method. Here we have to two things. One, add our bLoC provider. Second, add our event class, which is fetch food event. Now move on UI part. There should be scaffold widget as a parent widget, and inside body property we will add container for now. Inside child parameter we will pass our block builder. And the builder function will be return a widget in response to the state. Let's understand these logics. First case, if current state is either initial or loading and the value is empty, in this case a progress bar will be shown. Second case, if current state is an success, in this case our list will be fetched from server. If the current state is an error and the value is empty, in this case error message will be shown. Now let's see our those widgets. First, build a loading widget. Here I added progress bar indicator. See another widget. Here inside of list view we added our network image from our API image URL, and also add title. Now let's see our build error widget, where I created center widget. Inside of center widget I just add our text message. Let's import all widgets. Now our application is ready for run. Let's run our application and let's see what happens. Now we are able to see our list of items that we are fetched from server. And if you have any feedback or any suggestions, please comment below. Thanks for watching my tutorial. Please subscribe to get more